I'm Kerry Brett, and this is Shot at Love. Today's topic is the power of manifestation, the magic of mantras and metta. We'll learn how Sanskrit chants can help find your match. If you're looking for love, then this episode's for you. Joining us today is the amazing astrologer Jill Jardine, and her new course, Sanskrit Mantras for Love, is changing lives. And she's here to share her strategies with us. So get ready to align your chakras, raise your vibration, and find your soulmate. Because when you radiate positivity, confidence, and authenticity, you become irresistible to others. When we come back, we'll discuss how to recalibrate and raise your vibration, because it's time to attract your perfect match. You won't want to miss it, so stay tuned. Jill Jardine is a professional astrologer, therapist, psychic healer, and spiritual advisor. She's also a former radio personality on WATD and the host of the podcast Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. Jill has been a reverend in Sanskrit mantra for over 30 years, and she's helped thousands of people find power and confidence within themselves while helping others with important decisions. Jill is my dear friend and my psychic healer who's predicted so many things in my life. We've got some incredible tips that are guaranteed to help you attract the partner of your dreams. At least one of these powerful techniques will resonate with you. Or you can try all three. So without further ado, welcome Jill Jardine. Hi, Jill.
Hi, Kerry. So glad to be back on Shot at Love, talking about manifestation, mantras, and metta.
I love it. It's going to be good. So for those who don't know about the work that you do or your background, can you explain to the listeners how you help others improve their lives and get them in a better place emotionally to find love?
Well, I do have a background in counseling psychology with a master's in psychology. And so I've been seeing clients for years now. And I got that degree to legitimize astrology and some of the more esoteric types of work I do with people, which includes hypnotherapy, Sanskrit mantra, and basically coaching them to get to the next level. Before coaching was a thing, it's really more like a therapeutic intervention for them to really find their power and achieve their goals in life. So I do bring in different techniques, of which three we will be talking about today: manifestation, Sanskrit mantras, and metta. And for those who don't know that word metta, M-E-T-T-A, it comes from a Buddhist tradition called the loving kindness meditation. It's a form of meditation using certain words. And we'll talk a little bit about affirmation, because that's probably the closest thing. And affirmations are sort of willing something into existence. And what I found out, affirmations may not be as powerful as people think, because they have to bypass the subconscious. And that's what I work with. I help people to basically heal subconscious blockages and program themselves for successful outcomes. So the thing about affirmations is they are saying something like, I attract my mate now. There's some tentativeness to that if they've never done that before, if they've had bad luck doing that. So we'll talk about why metta might be better than affirmation. And the other thing is that you have to bypass the subconscious blocks, which is what Sanskrit does. They're ancient sound vibrations, and people have a lot of success with them because they're a different sound than English. So they do not have to be influenced by the subconscious. They go straight to changing the vibration of a person's internal matrix.
So I want to talk about the affirmation piece, because this is interesting, because sometimes, and I learned this from Michael Lozier, who teaches the law of attraction and knows the law of attraction so well. He says sometimes without knowing, you can put something into the universe like a Google search. And if you use the words don't, not, or no, then it can do the opposite. If you type in Google, I don't want pink elephants, what's going to come up? Pink elephants. So a lot of the times when people are writing down affirmations, sometimes they're almost ruining their chances because they're putting something negative in there.
Well, the subconscious, the reason why that doesn't work is because not, or whenever you use like, I don't want to have a man who is not available. Let's say somebody writes that. It's like there's a double negative. Yes, the subconscious cannot discern between a negative and a positive affirmation. So when those words are, I will not attract the same kind of man, it hears, I will attract the same kind of man.
Right. That's the point I was trying to make. So basically, When I had my top 10 list, and I didn't know very much back then when I was first dating, I put down on my list, I had 10 spots, and two of the spots, one spot was don't want a cheater, can't have a wandering eye, which are both the same thing, and both negatives.
Right.
So that's why the affirmations weren't working. And we'll talk about putting pen to paper later with the meta. Let's first dive into the power of manifestation. Why do we need to align our vibration and get into the feeling of falling in love or being in love first?
Right. Everybody equates manifestation with visualization. And again, you're going to run into some blocks with that. The first thing people need to cultivate is the positive emotion of being in that new love relationship or being with a partner, or what it feels like attracting that partner and having the dates. You know, there is a really strong feeling mode that comes in when you are, quote, in love or falling in love. And most people can go back to some time in their life when they felt that. Well, even if that relationship didn't work out, ultimately, you still want to foster or cultivate that feeling of the high, the love high. If you can bring yourself into that so that your whole body is literally buzzing. The other thing is to work with these higher emotional set points, as they would say, in different systems, such as joy, the happiness, the joy, the love. Even anticipation is a nice one, like that old Carly Simon song, Anticipation. So that can really cultivate a lot of very nice emotional feelings and sensory, even that the body is experiencing. So that's what you want to set yourself up. You want to almost like imagine that you are in this relationship and how good it's going to go and how good you're going to feel. And, you know, again, the subconscious cannot distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. Our imagination is one of our biggest gifts. And when we turn it to positive imaginings, we're going to have positive outcomes.
Right. It's true. I wonder if Carly Simon kept pulling in guys that were so vain too.
That's
she
right.
wrote that song. But you have to go to your imagination, and the imagination is the most powerful tool that we have, which I think people forget about. But we all can imagine ourselves in love or falling in love. And how do you eliminate doubt? You find proof. So all you have to do is go back to a past relationship. Remember that feeling of being in love.
Everybody has that friend who had that magical love connection and met this man, and he fulfilled her needs at the time, and he checked off the boxes. Well, instead of people tend to get almost like jealous or envious of that, you should be like, that's for me. And you should bless her success in dating. And so doing things like that also help, fostering the emotional, blessing friends who have had successful connections made and successful marriages. And again, go back to the first time when people are connecting, because it's like magical. And don't worry about what plays out later. And then the other thing is to just reinforcing. And I used to have a program on my website, which I actually have substituted now with the Sanskrit Mantras for love, but it was called Manifest and Mate. And I had a woman who had an amazing success story where she would come see me. I would put her into a semi-trance state, and I would have her just go and see herself on a date, doing things that she loved to do with this man, and not to necessarily conjure up what he was going to look like, but I always imagine a pillar of light. The man, you see him as a pillar of light, or just light. You don't even have to look. If they pop up, like if you see features and if you see how he might dress, well, that's fine. That's all well and fine. But after doing about 4 sessions of this, she felt she had finished the program. She did all the other things that were required. And I didn't see her for about 6 months. So I see her 6 months later at the yoga center. I'm like, how's it going? Did you meet someone? She goes, oh yeah. She goes, right after I finished your program, I met this man. He's a doctor. We've been traveling together and we're having the best life. And I'm like, oh, so you've been with him for 6 months? And she's like, yeah. I said, well, I guess that program was a success. And she said, yes, it was, because nothing else worked.
Right. See, that's the thing. You have to get to a point where nothing else is working. So what are you going to do? You can do lots of things. So in this woman's case, you had to hypnotize her to get out of that negative state. But that negative state was the block.
Right.
I was thinking about my friend Maureen Hancock, who's a famous medium. Her sister Rosie Dalton, in order to find love, they sat down and connected to her son who had passed. And that was proof. That was enough proof for Rosie to call in her higher self, her future self. And she could see her future self. And because that message came from the other side, from her sister Maureen, there was a forever man for her. And then she believed that. So I think whatever it takes for you to believe, for it to work for you, I don't care if it's science, I don't care if it's a message from the other side, a reading, a mantra, all of these things are a way for you to believe. And if you don't believe, and if you don't have that power of intention, you can't find love.
Right. It's trust and faith in the process, and trust in the faith in the fact that you deserve to be happy. I'm going to give another example from my own life on how I manifested my second husband. And this imagining, the imagination piece doesn't have to be hard. At that point in time, I missed playing tennis. I used to be playing tennis a lot in my life. I was number one in high school, but I really missed playing tennis. So my imagining was that I was playing tennis with a man, and I was in a really nice tennis club or health club. It was, very, very beautiful surroundings, beautiful high-end health club or tennis club. And there he was on the other side of the net, but as a tube of light. So I did that repeated meditation for myself for about every night before I went to sleep for about a month. A month later, this man comes into my life, and, I start dating him, and he asked me, what do you like to do? And I say, I actually miss playing tennis. He goes, well, I belong to this high-end tennis club in this town. Do you want to come with me? And so there it was. It was fulfilled within 2 months.
Pretty quick.
Of me doing the imaginings. And then flash forward a couple months later, we're playing out at the Enchantment Resort in Sedona, playing tennis out on their beautiful courts with the beautiful scenery all around.
Amazing. I don't know if I was imagining, but I was doing a lot of work with you at the time. You gave me the belief. Once you gave me the belief, I was off and running, because you said karmically you're due, Kerry. All the good that you've put in the past relationships is going to come back to you tenfold. And I can see this happening pretty quickly. It's absolutely going to happen for you. And you're due karmically. And when you told me that I was due karmically, I was like, well, that makes sense. I know I'm a good person. Why not me? I got in the car. I called my friend Maureen, who's also psychic. Can't have enough psychic people around me, I guess. And
it helps.
It helps. And Maureen said, oh, yeah, I've absolutely, you're karmically due. And then she laughed at herself and she said, he'll move in by June. And it was February at the time that we had that conversation. And it did. I met him in the spring and he moved in the summer. She was accurate. You were accurate. It was pretty wild how that happened. So the power of intention is so, so important. So how do we get from intent to attraction? And I think one of the most powerful tools is using mantras. Jill, why don't you explain what chanting is and how it helps people bring positive things into their life?
Sanskrit is an ancient sound vibration, which was a language used in India only by the priests or Brahmins, the people who were initiated in it. It does not have a literal English translation because it's all about sound vibration. For instance, an ancient yogi would be in a cave and probably getting a little hungry from meditating, and he decided, I'm going to chant a sound that will attract food. Next thing he knew, a devotee would show up in his cave and bring him some food. So this is like the origins over 5,000 years ago of Sanskrit mantra, that these original yogi rishi seers would create sound vibrations to bring in a particular aspect of the divine. Truth is one, but many are the names. And this is not a religion because Sanskrit predates the Hindu religion and the Buddhist religion, although they incorporated it, but it was a form of connection with the divine source, which can be qualified in many different ways. But the point is, when we chant Sanskrit ourselves, it is going to work on what we call our spiritual physiology, which is, if anybody's ever done acupuncture, you've got 12 meridians. You don't see them if you had an x-ray, but you can have a profound healing if you go to an acupuncturist and they put the needles in the certain points and meridians, and they can heal your B syndrome in your gallbladder channel, which would create achy legs. So they do work. Same thing with yogic or spiritual, Vedic spiritual physiology. There's 72,000 subtle pathways called nadis. You won't see them in an x-ray, but energy runs through them. And the main one is the spine, called the Sushumna. And then there's one on the left called the Pingala, which distributes it, and the Ida on the right. And basically, then there's 69,000 more. So when we do yoga, or we do breath work, or we meditate, or we chant mantra, we activate these 72,000 subtle pathways, and we start feeling better, and we start radiating and magnetizing that which we need in our life. It's a language that's not a spoken language. It's only been used for ceremonial purposes throughout the ages because it doesn't resonate with like English or French or German. It's going to bypass somebody's subconscious and just work with sound frequency to lift your vibration and clear and remove things that are blocking you on every level: physical body, emotional body, mental body, even anything that is obstructing you from your spiritual source, whatever that is.
Interesting. So it gives you a way to trust.
I've been teaching it for many, many years. It's a feel good, and it's also mantra. Manas in Sanskrit is the root, as is tre, which means, so manas is mind and tre means to still. Mantras still the mind. And so many people in our world are running around with anxiety, and they're stressed out, and their mind is going 1,000 miles a minute, and they're taking in all kinds of information outside of themselves, from outside of themselves. It's no wonder so many people have insomnia and can't sleep and are all worked up and worried. Well, you start chanting some mantras, you're going to calm down. And they're also helping people go into deeper meditative states. That's why the yogis of past would give mantras, so that people could actually have deeper spiritual experiences in their meditation.
How great would it be to find the love of your life, the man of your dreams? Do you believe online dating would work if you had the right tools to be successful? Well, I have exciting news. I've created your Best Shot at Love Masterclass. I cannot wait to share with you what's worked for me in my life and for many of my clients that have helped over the years. If you enroll in this class, you have a winning mindset and believe in getting help before you start something new. If you're ready to see changes in your dating life and want to take action, check out my free webinar at shotatlove.co. If you decide you're going to choose another path, that you're worth it, and you're willing to enroll in the masterclass, you can also register at shotatlove.co. I designed this masterclass specifically for you to be successful. Please know that everything you're going to learn in these 9 modules and 6 coaching calls has been carefully curated for you, so you can gain the success you truly want. I will be there for you the whole time. In the meantime, I wish you all the success, and I can't wait to hear about your story of finding love. I'm Kerry Brett, and I will be your mentor and friend through this incredible journey. I love the Tina Turner movie, and in the beginning of the movie, she sits down with like a gong bowl and she starts chanting. That's how she rolled down the river away from Ike Turner. She really tapped into her power, and the mantras helped her in a very strong way. So when I was at rock bottom, I was like, if it's good enough for Tina Turner, it's good enough for me. And then I realized all these famous people had been doing them, a lot of creative types too.
Right. Her mantra was Namo Karangi Ko, which was, I believe, Korean in source. It wasn't Sanskrit. But there are other systems that Tibetans have powerful mantras. They basically are all like Sanskrit, really. And then there's what we call Gurmukh mantras, which are the ones from Kundalini yoga tradition. So there's at least 4 different types of these mantras, including Sanskrit, and they all work. It doesn't matter. Pick the one that resonates with you, literally as well as figuratively.
Well, she also used her imagination too. She could see herself on stage. I was watching American Idol and I loved this girl, Nutsa, who's just a powerhouse. And she actually sang a Tina Turner song. She keeps saying every time in every interview, I imagine myself as a child coming to America and being on American Idol. There you go. I mean, the power of imagining. And I think, why not me? Why can't you have love? And I think what happens is you get so discouraged and you throw in the towel, and you've had tons of clients where they do not want to try mantras and they have almost a adverse fear.
I get a lot of times, we're in a heavy Catholic area here called the Irish Riviera. Originally, a lot of people thought it would be going against their religion. In the Jewish tradition, they have Hebrew chants, so they're quite familiar with the whole sound frequency. Mantra Sanskrit is chanted by Buddhists and Hindus alike, but really it predates the formation of those religions. So it's very primordial on the planet. God said the word, and then there was light. So word is more powerful than light, according to Genesis. The other thing that people need to know, that it helps you to clear what is blocking you, which isn't always conscious. And there's not a lot of other techniques that will do that unless you do some intense talk therapy over years, which takes a while, or you could do hypnotherapy, which I also do with people, that has you bypass what is blocking you and you get to the core. Why do you have this issue? And then you can use sound frequencies. I mean, sound healing is becoming very popular now. I've been involved with it for years. Sanskrit mantra is one way, any kind of mantra, but things like I do a lot of work with the gong out of the Kundalini yoga tradition. There's also the Tibetan bowls. There's crystal bowls. There's a lot of sound tools now available, and just consider this another sound tool, but you yourself are the instrument.
Right. Well, if you think about it, music changes your vibration.
Oh, yes. Music is great.
Laughter. They've proven that laughter can help cancer and heal in so many ways. So whatever works for you, but we're just trying to offer different solutions to change up your vibration, change your energy. Let's hear some stories. I know you have a story of a woman who is chanting mantras and you got a picture of her diamond ring.
People, if they are interested in learning more about Sanskrit mantras for love, and I even have some for prosperity and other issues people may have, it's my website, jilljardineastrology.com/online/courses, Sanskrit love and soulmate mantras. So go to my website, jilljardineastrology.com, go to the online course section, and you'll find it. I have so many stories, but I'll share some key ones. And it's interesting because a lot of people are hesitant to do it and they won't do it. They won't do it. But as we said earlier, when they come to the end of their rope and they're like, all right, give me the best love mantra, then they'll do it. But it can be used with other techniques. So I had a client and she was in her mid-30s and she had been single and she's like, I really want to meet the one. And I'm like, you mean your future husband? And she's like, yes. I'm like, okay. I said, chant this mantra to bring in a spiritual husband, to bring in a nobleman, Satpatim Dehi Parameshwara. But they have to be ready, because I've given it to women and they aren't ready. And they said, I don't want to get married yet. I want to play the field more, or I'm not ready for commitment, or I just got out of a relationship. I need to process. So the mantra is Satpatim Dehi Parameshwara. It is in the program that I offer up, Sanskrit Mantras for Love. And be ready, because what happened with this woman, I gave her the mantra and then I didn't see her and she went on with her life. Shortly thereafter, about 2 years later, this young man comes to me and he's like, I'm coming to you because a relative sent me. But he goes, as I was telling my girlfriend that I was coming to see you, she said, that's how I met you. She had given me love mantras. So they're dating and they realized that they both, now had seen me. So flash forward a year later, I'm talking to a client on a virtual reading who is in a similar situation to the woman who met her man with the mantra, who, unbeknownst to him, she had met him and he had been predicted in the reading. Flash forward, and they've been together about a year. And so I'm telling this woman on a Zoom reading that, yes, I've given this mantra to people, and it is a time in your chart when there is a love window. And I get a text coming through, and I look at it, and there's this original client of mine with her boyfriend flashing her hand with a big fat diamond ring on it, saying, "Thanks for everything you did those years ago. We're getting married."
Wow. Yeah. Well, first of all, I had to bring back Aham Prema, which is a very easy chant for you to do. You could just say Aham Prema 108 times over and over again. It's the first chant I ever learned. And I had to bring that back to really feel better about myself, love myself before I could pull in my boyfriend. But I did a kind of a complicated chant, but I pulled my boyfriend Scott in 2 days later after doing it, and you gave it to me, and it was like so powerful. So you have so many incredible stories. We just have this wild story of your client Shannon. Tell this one.
Oh, this is probably one of the best. And by the way, there's 12 mantras on my programs. One of them at least is going to work. I tell people to try 3, but you can go back and try another one, and eventually they'll work, as was proven by Shannon, who had been a client of mine. And she was doing the different love mantras, and she is beautiful. So she had no problem pulling men in off these apps. And she's on Bumble and Tinder and Match, getting all kinds of dates, having, lots of dinners out, meeting all kinds of nice guys. But she noticed that there was a pattern, like they'd come on strong, and then, they would kind of fizzle, or she wouldn't be really that into them. So she was having a lot of activity, but she wasn't finding anything that was really floating her boat, so to speak. So I give her a new mantra. So she does the new mantra. Somehow she finds out about this website called drawyoursoulmate.com with Clairvoyant Mary. So she does it, and she gets this drawing of this man, and she's like, wow, he's really, really attractive. And so she just kind of forgets about it, continues on her way of dating different men. Flash forward 2 months later, she meets a man on an app, starts dating him. It's really going well. And about 3 dates in, she's like, he reminds me of someone. And she's thinking, why does he seem familiar? And then she remembers, she goes, I think he looks like my soulmate picture. She goes back and she looks at a photo of him up against the soulmate picture. It's an exact replica. So her mind is blown. 6 months later, they're very happy and moving forward.
Clairvoyant Mary uses her powers, and she can see who this person is that you're going to pull in. And then she uses that picture in her mind and does this sketch and sends it to you, I think, 12 to 24 hours later. I would have done this.
Drawmysoulmate.com, Clairvoyant Mary, getting all kinds of free promotion, but it worked in Shannon's case.
Yeah, because there was the proof again, see? Sometimes you just need something to hold on to and something to shift that energy in your mindset. Another thing you can do with mantras is you can make a shift to get out of an unhappy situation, and it can bring forth some information that might be hidden, whether someone's cheating or have a double life or whatever is happening. You sometimes just don't know, but you always know in your gut that something's off.
Right. I have an example of that with a client. She was married and she was feeling something was off with her husband. I gave her a couple mantras. I believe Om Namah Shivaya was one of them to empower the relationship. And so she did a couple mantras, love mantras, to improve the relationship. Lo and behold, within a week, she found out that her husband was a cyber sex addict. And that's why he wasn't that into her. So she kept doing the mantras, hoping that, maybe this can be healed, try to get him help. Long story short, she got divorced because she realized that this was a deeper issue and that he was spending all kinds of marital funds on it. So it led her to get divorced and live happily ever after, now finding new love on Tinder, Bumble, JDate, Match, and she's having the time of her life. But if she hadn't done those mantras, she would have been stuck in that weird situation in her marriage, not thinking it was her, that there was something off with her, that her husband was turned off, when really he was only turned on by the cyber sex shots.
The third tip or the third strategy that we're going to talk about is metta. This is another way to dial in your love frequency. So, Jill, can you explain what metta is and how it's different than affirmations?
Yes, it's becoming quite popular in mainstream. A lot of people know what it is, but it goes by two names, either metta, M-E-T-T-A, or loving kindness meditation, which is really a Buddhist meditation. And it's saying phrases over and over again to yourself, whether it's loud or silent. And they're similar to affirmations, but there's a big difference. We talked a little bit earlier about affirmations. I am now attracting my ideal mate. I am now in a happy relationship. It still is something where your subconscious may be like, no, you're not. What are you thinking about? If anybody has like a self-criticism or they've been hurt and burned in the past, they may not accept those affirmations. They'll say them, but they're not breaking through into the deeper levels of belief. So with metta, we say these phrases beginning with may. So for example, here are some classic loving kindness metta statements. May I be happy and at ease. May I be healthy and strong. May I be at peace. May I be prosperous. May I be joyful. So I have tweaked this technique so that it works with relationship. Some loving kindness meditation around relationship could be these phrases. May I be in a happy and healthy relationship. May I be open to receive love. May I feel deserving of love. May I be magnetic to my match. And feel the love for yourself as you say these phrases. That's very important. And they will help you emanate love for yourself. And it's through that loving kindness to self, you will manifest somebody who extends that loving kindness back to you. People may know I'm a hypnotherapist and my voice has helped people believe, may I be open to receive love.
I love that. So it's starting with gratitude. That's a big thing. You hear that everywhere. That's very mainstream right now. That sit down, journal, good way to connect with your higher self, good way to shake it up. These are all just different tools.
I just want to ask you, Kerry, didn't it feel quite different with that may I be happy? And when you precurse it with the may I instead of I am happy and peaceful, isn't there a huge difference?
There is a huge difference because it takes away the desperation. You become desperate sometimes because you have a lot of things that don't work out, and it is science. If you continue to show up, it is a numbers game, but you have to do whatever you can to push you forward and stay proactive when dating. And so when you have a lot of things that set you back, the first thing people do is quit.
And this way, with these loving kindness phrases, may I be in a happy and healthy relationship, may I be open to receive love, you're basically offering it up to the universe, to God, but also to your higher self or your soul or your everyday self. You're offering it up as a possibility. So it takes on a whole different energetic and you become surrounded in that love vibration, just like aham prema, I am divine love.
I think about my dating journey all the time. And if I knew that at the end, I could see the movie of my life, that at the end, everything would work out just fine and I would have found love, I wouldn't even think twice if I got ghosted. I wouldn't care. It would have been so much easier if I knew that it would work out, and it does work out.
Believe and trust.
Yeah, believe and trust. So my last question is, what is one thing that you see with your clients over and over again that holds them back from finding love? And what is one simple shift that they can do to make a change in their lives?
I would say insecurity and self-esteem issues. I'm not pretty enough. I haven't lost enough weight. I'm not ready. I'm afraid. So it would all come back to self-esteem and lack of self-security or feeling insecure. Anything for empowerment. And we actually have a mantra for that. Om Aim Harim Klim Chamundaye Viche Namaha. So work on yourself, self-empowerment. That's part of the journey to dating.
That's such a powerful mantra, and it can actually change the way you carry yourself. It can change the way you're viewed by other people. That one was so powerful for me, and I loved it. So this has been so helpful, Jill. Thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media?
They can find me on JillJardineAstrology.com, my website, and check out those offerings in my online courses, Sanskrit Mantras for Love and Your Soulmate, as well as some prosperity offerings. I'm on Facebook at Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I have a podcast, Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, available on all major podcast platforms where I share all these techniques, the hypnotherapy, the manifestation, as well as there's about 15 episodes on Sanskrit mantras, so check it out.
I love it. I know you're going to help somebody listening today, just like you helped me. So thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me back, Kerry.
And for now, this week's Shot at Love dating tips that are inspired by our guest, astrologer Jill Jardine. Number 1, imagine yourself in a happy and healthy relationship. The subconscious can't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. Number 2, feel it to heal it. Allow more joy, love, and positivity as your emotional way of life. Number 3, words have superpowers. Try chanting Sanskrit, which is a high vibratory language, or practice metta, a loving kindness meditation. I hope you found some of my tips helpful this week. This is what Shot at Love is here for, to help you find love. Keep up the commitment to yourself and commit to helping someone else by sharing this podcast. Stay safe and stay tuned for more episodes. And if you like this show, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review. I'm Kerry Brett, and we'll see you next time.